Beloved, welcome back to the channel. Behind me is the greatest gift anyone has ever given me. My grandfather, who lived through the Depression, saved every single item for 50 years, nuts, bolts, bearings, spring clips, whatever, that he had from leftover from being a mechanic, and gifted them to me before he passed away. And why this is so important to me is if you're kind of a shop guy or a tinkerer, having access to little nuts and washers and things for all the myriad projects that we do where you don't have to run to the hardware store is invaluable. The bad thing about this is that this stuff is very antiquated. This is basically a time capsule of 50 years ago. Not very useful to me today. I have needs, screws and fasteners. Technology has moved on, and I've wrestled with this. Where does the obligation end to keep the things that we've been handed down versus keeping or having the things that we need to get us through life today? So I've made the decision to go through and really get rid of the stuff that's not necessary and utilize this for my own needs. Now, this is falling apart. Well, not falling apart, but it's in need of some maintenance, and it's special to me, so I want to preserve it. So today, we're going to do a little restoration on some of the drawers that are damaged. We'll go through some of the cool products, maybe something, some of you old boomers will even recognize some of this stuff, and then we'll go about adapting this to make it more usable for my needs. Let me give you an example. We'll just pull one of these drawers out here, and we'll take a look at this time capsule. Now this is after I already went through it once and really got rid of the things that are of no value. But even so, a lot of this stuff is just no longer relevant to me. Things, gas caps and old hose repairs, things. I have a full tap and die kit. I don't need individuals. There's a few things we might save. Just relics from the past. There's probably some boomer restoring some old boomer machine that needs that, but who knows, right? I'll bet there's not a Zoomer alive that knows what this is. Put in the comments if you know what this is or remember that. But this would be better utilized for my things. Now, some of the other concern is that, now this was made, here, let me show you. My granddad built this cabinet probably in the 50s using absolutely beautiful CVG. CVG stands for Clear Vertical Grain Douglas Fir, the tree of my people. When I say clear vertical grain, you won't find a knot in this. This is some of the most expensive building material or construction material that you can buy. It's only used for really expensive homes and trim. But back in the day, it was such an abundance of it that this was just standard. We have fallen so far. If we take and contrast, this is also Doug fir. If we contrast the garbage that we get today with the old stuff, we still have this, but you're going to pay for it. You're going to pay for a 1x4 about $60, 8 foot long, $60 to $70. So I want to maintain it. The problem we're running into with some of these drawers is the bases, which were made out of plywood. And plywood, as we know, is glued together, multiple layers. This was 1/4 inch at the time, and some of these are falling apart. Not all of them, but just a few. And I think what happened were mice nested in there, and from the urine or what have you, it rotted it out. So we're going to replace the broken ones first, and then we can get about finding what we're going to put in here or putting my stuff in here. Dealing with these fasteners and hardware for the shop is basically the last bastion of disorganization in my shop, and we're going to deal with that now. So I'm going to go over my leader's intent here. So leader's intent, when I was a wildland firefighter and engine boss, when we had a mission to do, we're assigned to a task force, I would make sure that my crew understood what it was that we were trying to accomplish. So that's what I'm going to do here with you today. So what we're trying to accomplish is a two-pronged method where we'll have the drawers for organization of all of the drywall screws, deck screws, all those things that you want to go back to and kind of refill my pack out. These are the two pack outs that I use. There's one for metal fab, and then there's one for wood. Now, the reason why I set this up is I'm not a tradesman. If I was a tradesman, I would have more of these and maybe put all of my stuff in them. But this is what I'm going to grab if I'm going to go do a project. building a deck, doing a house repair. It just has just a variety of all sorts of things. I can grab these and go. But by no means is there enough room for all of the hardware that I have. The second one here is going to be that I use just for metal type of things, or pans, screws, nuts and washers, just all those little random things. Never throw hardware away. It's just so valuable, and you can always use it. This morning I've tasked my manservant to gather up all of the fasteners that we have in the homestead into one place and neatly organize them here so we can transport these directly into the cabinet. Well, good morning, Mama. You know what I have for you? Would you like some catnip treat? Oh, I bet you do. I sure hope that tastes better than it smells, but nothing grosses a cat out. Since we're all knee-deep into the Great Depression 2.0, the MO of the day is using what we have. So I was searching around to see what I've got, what can we use to replace the 1/4 inch, that nice plywood that Granddad originally used. And all I have on hand, I've got this tempered hardboard, but anyone who knows anything knows that this is no good for anything that bears weight. It will warp and it's just terrible. So that's not really an option. So I had that is 1/4 inch, the correct thickness. I do have this really nice Baltic birch plywood. However, it's 3/8. It's far too thick for this thin slot. See, the way he designed it, you can see that these mortises right there are cut in there. It just slides in, and he secured it with 3 small nails right there. But what's even more beautiful than Baltic birch plywood is my new toupee. Thank you for noticing. This will be part of my spring line. I will be calling it the Draper. Sourced from the finest human hair, made only from Polynesian virgins, force-fed a diet of coconut oil. The price will be market. Okay, let's see what our dimensions are. I always start with a sharp pencil. Now, carpenter's pencils should be sharpened not to a point, but from 2 sides. And the reason being is it makes it a lot tougher edge. Do you know why carpenter's pencils are this shape? Why they're not round like school pencils? So they don't roll off of your work surface. They lay flat. They're there when you need them. A little something for our North Carolina brothers in Christ. Douglas fir. Working with these old things, whether they be tools or cabinets that my grandfather and my dad built, is, well, there's a reason why the adversary, that old devil and Satan, tries to break up families, is so we don't know where we came from and we don't have any connection to anything. This is a connection to the past for me. That's 1/4 inch. 1/4 inch is going to be tight, so we'll run down to 1/4 inch, and then we can always go further if we need to. So the width on this, always burn 1 inch. So 6.5, just shy of 5.5, because we burned 1 inch. And then this is just rough dimensions there. So by about a foot or so, over a foot. So we'll say 12.5. 5.5 times 2 would be 11. I think my planer will do 12, so we'll just mark this at 11.5, and that'll give us a little bit extra to work with. When using a table saw, gentlemen, the first thing you want to do is set the depth. Want your blade to be just a little bit bigger than the material. Don't have it sticking way out. It's more dangerous, more chance to cutting yourself. More dudes get hurt on these things than anything else. That you want to be on your game when you're using table saws. This is one of the most recent tools I've purchased. This is a planer. Thickness planer. I bought this because, well, since becoming a YouTuber, I've become soft, and hand planing is just too much for me anymore. So it speeds things along, but I forgot how to use it. So this is 3/8, and we're going to want to rip this down. Take about a third of it off or so. If memory serves, 1 is for fine, meaning the blade turns faster RPMs, and 2 is more for rough work. But why? It doesn't feel like it's engaging all the way. Shouldn't that go all the way over? I believe this dial is for your hard stops. That's what we want to finish at, is 1/4, 1/8, 1/4, and that way it won't let you go down any further. So now this gauge here tells you how much you're taking off. This is, you don't want to take off too much, and burden the machine. And then you can see 30 seconds. That's how much wood per pass. This planer is a tremendous dust maker, and I don't have a dust collection system, nor do I want one. A little gaffer's tape, and we'll have our Value brand dust collection system. If you got a shop vac that's got a good filter, HEPA filter on it, you can, well, that's not very good. You can use it to keep a lot of the dust out of your shop. ODs match up, so can't just slip it in there. It was 70 degrees yesterday. Spring really feels like it's coming, and I'm glad. It was a rough winter, a lot of cold and sickness in our house. I've been hearing from a lot of you guys that your families have suffered with some sort of an unknown sickness. It's not COVID, the flu. But man, it lingers, goes on and on. I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if it was intentionally released upon us and people blame China and whoever. I would say that there's just as good a chance that our own government's poisoning us. People say, well, where's the evidence? Well, the evidence is precedence. When you look at the garbage that they allow us to serve our kids with the GMO and food for profit that they know is poison, that is outlawed in all other countries except for the U.S., it's just true to form. If they're going to poison our water with fluoride, poison our food with GMO, why wouldn't they unleash a sickness upon us that they alone have an antidote for their own families? This is just my opinion, but it wouldn't surprise me. Would not surprise me in the least bit. I don't think that planer likes that plywood glue. It seems to be laboring a little bit, but, well, live and learn, right? Hit that thumbs up, gentlemen. I'm working hard as a non-job having YouTuber can work. Look at that. Isn't that nice? That looks perfect. As you may or may not know, wood swells when it's in a non-heated area, so you don't want to make tolerances too tight because it can get moisture in it, swell up, and then it'll spread the sides of it, and then the drawers won't open anymore. So if we burn 1 inch, the reason why I burn 1 inch is that these ends can get bent and beat up, and when you're doing precision work, they're not really reliable, and anyway, you just burn 1 inch, you start at the 1, then you have a nice clean line there. So if we put that across there, I'm going to say our exact is going to be 6 7/16. Oh, it's 5 7. Almost screwed up. I always forgot to burn that inch. 5 7. That would have been bad because we would have messed up half our wood. Wouldn't have been wide enough for another set. Excellent. Not too tight, just a little bit of gap there for expansion. And we're ready to go. So Granddad put 3, and actually also, this is keeping true to what the original design, if that's important. It is important to me. I'm not putting an inferior product on there. A good Baltic birch 3 1/4 ply. Now, it was basically the same thing that he would have used. He secured the drawer bottom with 3 small nails that we should be able to just reuse, using excellent Knipex pliers. Some people took issue when I said Snap-on makes the best pliers, and people said, well, what about Knipex? Well, they're good too. They sell Knipex on the Snap-on truck. So Snap-on gives the acknowledgement as well. So I'd say, isn't that something? Would it be something to Use the nails that Granddad used. We can slide this in here now and we'll mark it and then cut it to its final length. There's 2 bottoms, so I have enough out of that sheet to make 6. Setting something right like this, doing a proper job, is the 4th greatest thing you can experience in life, behind knowing Jesus, marrying a good woman, having your own children. Fixing stuff comes in number 4 for me, and then good food. Well, beloved, that's about all the time I have to bore you with today. If I did any more, I'd have to put in an actual work day, and why would I want to do that? Yeah, well, truth to be known, Jack and Mrs. W are up in Idaho for a debate tournament, and the Sweet Loaf and I are going to be joining them in a few days. So we skipped the preliminary rounds because it's not very fun for her having a little kid up there and they're long days. So Mrs. W and Jack, they go up ahead of time, and then when Jack, if and when he qualifies, which he always does, for the finals, then we go up there, because I wouldn't miss that for the world. And I will be taking you up there. So shout out to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. We'll be up there in a few days. One of my favorite towns. I absolutely love it. Actually, my family's from Idaho. My dad's side still lives there, and we've got deep, deep roots in Idaho, and it really is my second home. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. Thank you for watching. May God bless you and your families. One side note, speaking of Jack, something, if you're a young person, I would strongly urge you to consider is getting some of these basic carpentry skills. If you didn't have a dad, or your dad wasn't engaged or didn't pass this on to you, this will really hinder you and handicap you in life. And it's going to be more and more important in the future than it ever was. A man is not going to be able to rely upon being single-faceted. You got to have multiple skills. My dad and my grandfather were able to do everything. Everything. It didn't make any difference. And that wasn't necessarily because they had the skills, but they had the mindset. They weren't afraid to take it on. Everything's going to get expensive, and supplies and access to tradesmen and conveniences, that's going away. So you're going to need to be able to do that. So a couple things I would consider. First off, before I forget, now's the time to get into wildland firefighting. They're hiring now. The trainings are starting, so don't put it off. It starts early, and we're looking at having a great, it's interesting, your perspective. It's always a great fire season is one that burns a lot for guys that are in it, but a really busy fire season. Jack will be going in year 2. He'll be working on his task for his firefighter 1, and he's pretty stoked about that. The second thing, something that Jack did that I was really impressed with, is that he doesn't have any interest in carpentry and working in the shop like I do. He's more intellectual. He's more like his mother. He wants to become a lawyer and get a law degree. But he also knew the importance of having these skills. So in the summertime, he enrolled himself in the local community college taking some carpentry classes. So he learned basic framing and drywall, and not that he's going to be a perfect tradesman, but at least he has an understanding and he'll be able to do his own work and not just be completely ignorant and useless like so many. I told Jack, I said, if you, in your generation, if you're a Zoomer or an Alpha, this generation of children, of young people, are so soft and so coddled and so lacking in skills that if you have basic gumption, if you can be a hard driver, if you can have some basic skills, you will cut through this generation like a hot knife through butter. You won't even have any competition and you will rise to the top. It's going to be easier than ever. There are more opportunities for your generation, regardless of what people tell you, if you are willing to go and to learn and get the skills that a man should have. Basic carpentry, basic mechanicking. If you don't have them, and if you don't have a mentor, enroll in these community colleges. There's really great programs, and you don't have to get a degree. Just don't worry about degrees. Just worry about learning what you need. Pick and choose. Wherever your deficit is, go in there and erase that deficit. Get the skills that you need so that you're not completely on the back foot when you get to a place where you need to build your own home. May God bless you and your families. Please keep us in your prayers, and we'll see you all on the next video.